Hey everybody, how you doing? How you doing? I hope you all are doing well. So good to see you. I see you're already in here. I see Tara Redmond and Karen, Jennifer, Stephen Hutchinson, AR3, Tamika Ward, Doris. I see you. Igbo Nation, good to see Igbo Nation. Sorry, good to see Monica McBride. How's everybody doing today? I hope you all are doing well. I want to say welcome to a special Egyptian episode of Money in the Morning. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Typically, we meet in a private Zoom, and today, obviously, for obvious reasons, I'll get into. I couldn't do that today, but I want to ask you all. First things first, I'm on a ship on the literally on the Nile. We're literally taking a cruise on the Nile. So as you can imagine, Wi-Fi gets a little weird. So I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Give me a yes if you can hear me. Okay. Let me know if my audio's coming good. Just give me a quick yes in the chat if you can hear me all right. Good morning, Justin and Renita and AR3 and Janala. Shout out the city you're from also. Let me know what city you're from. You can shout out your business. Or you could just say, yes, I can hear you, that kind of thing. Okay, thank you, Julia, HC Little, Barbara Scott. Good morning to you. Good morning, DIY Mama. Good morning. Let's see. How are you and Alicia enjoying Egypt? We are enjoying Egypt quite a lot. And thank you for asking, Lawrence. Yeah, it's amazing. It's truly transformative, actually. I actually put up an image on my Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins one, and I put up this image. This is a picture of me and my wife and my daughter Carmen, and I wrote, "This trip to Egypt has changed my life," and I can tell you, and this is, I think, a great place to start our economic consciousness conversation. There's something that I'm going to say that I think I want to try to communicate this properly. And I promise you, like always, when we do Monday in the morning, I'll get to the economics of it for sure. But there's something about being a black man and being around the gods, just being, in a space. And I say the ancestors, and I know that there's conversations about who our actual ancestors are as African Americans, descendants of slaves. A lot of our legacy was stolen from us. But I can tell you that there's something special that you feel when you are in this space where people that look like you created something from 5,000 years ago that people can't even replicate to this day. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. Like there's something about that experience, we saw the Sphinx and we saw these temples and you hear about these kings and pharaohs and just these people that just did these amazing things, things that white people didn't give to us, right? Things that white people had nothing to do with, things that white people learned from, like they were learning from us. We were teaching them, how to be clean, how to be smart, how to do astronomy, how to do mathematics. We were teaching them these things, right? And there's just something about it that just puts you on level 10, just as a black person. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've always felt good about myself and very good about life. But I think that we have to really reflect on what we lose when people tell us that all of our history started with slavery. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Like I think that just this idea that they're like, okay, you were nothing until um you know you were nothing until we decided to make you into something. You were went to Brown University, like this school started by a bunch of white people. Like you were nothing until I gave you this job at UPS. Like you were nothing until we let you come to public schools that we run from the suburbs. You were nothing till I put a Gucci label on your back. And I think that there's just something about it where it's like, man, kiss my whole entire ass. Like I don't, so I'm just gonna tell you that so really, cutting out the middleman and connecting with the root, the source, right? And getting together. And there's so many amazing, intelligent black people here with us on this group. There's a picture if you guys want to see. Lots of men, lots of women. We created a B1 men's circle, all the strong men that were here on this trip. wonderful women. The youngest woman is age 23. The oldest might be 80 or so. And so, wide range of very wonderful, intelligent Black people. And it's just kind of one of these things where it's like, look, this is us. We got this, man. We can create our own experiences. We can create our own happiness. We can create our own wealth. We can create our own power. And so that's what I mean when I said this trip is transformative. It's just a reminder of how awesome we can be, how powerful we are, right? So if you want to know what this trip has been like, I just can't put it into words. I'm going to try to find the words to describe it, and you can ask some other people that are here and see what they think. But this has been pretty amazing. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. Now let me know. Can y'all still hear me? Okay, because my phone. I'm literally talking to you guys on my phone and it's acting a little weird. So let me just check to make sure my connection's good and all that good stuff. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. Let's jump into some of this. Um, all right. So one thing I wanted to talk about, actually, just from a quick housekeeping standpoint, for those of you that want to enter, as you may know, the Black Investors Championships are coming up. The Black Investors Cup, that is an award we're going to give to the best investor in the Black community, the best investor on earth amongst intelligent Black people. And this is something we created in the Black Business School. It's a stock market investing competition that starts on August 19th. Hundreds and hundreds of you have signed up. If you'd like to compete in the Black Investors Cup or the Black Investors Championship, just go to blackinvestorscup.com. That's blackinvestorscup.com. So we're looking. So what's basically going to happen is on August 19th, everybody will receive $50,000 in play money, and you will invest that money in the stock market. And whoever has the most money after 6 weeks is going to win. We will keep the leaderboard, and the winner will have the Black Investors Cup mailed to them directly from me. And also, you will get lifetime access to the Black Business School. There will also be a prize for a second and third place as well. So if that's of interest to you and your family, feel free to go to blackinvestorscup.com. So one thing I wanted to talk about really quickly that was on my mind was I was thinking about politics a little bit today. Politics is a big conversation that's happening now. A lot of people are having this discussion, and a lot of you know my position on politics, but I have to reiterate it just to make sure that there's no confusion. I'm not voting for Trump or Kamala, and I know some people may get upset about it. Some people may think I owe somebody a vote, and I'm just here to tell you I don't owe anybody anything. I just don't. My ancestors paid a price for me to be free. Freedom means I do what I want, right? And freedom means you do what you want. So don't let me or anybody tell you who to vote for. Give me a yes if we're on the same page with that. Give me a quick yes so that we can make sure we understand each other on this political thing. I have to do this just because when you aren't speaking the talking points that other people want you to share, people start to call you, they call you names. They call you a Trump supporter, or you're telling Black people to do this and that. No, I'm not telling Black people to do nothing except love themselves and do what's best for your family. These white folks on Capitol Hill, they're doing what's best for their family. I want you to do what's best for yours. And anybody who has a problem with that, I'm sorry. I'd like to help you, but I don't know if I can. But here's the deal. Here's one thing I was thinking about. I was watching this guy. There's this goofball guy on the internet named Kai Sanat, and Kai, he fits into a long tradition of Black men who make lots of money by being goofy and silly and stupid. I mean, you see it all through the Olympics. Unfortunately, Snoop Dogg, for example, he's being paid millions of dollars to go to the Olympics and kind of be like a mascot, like a goofy clown, and Kevin Hart's there, and Keenan from SNL is there. Mike Tirico is not a clown. Mike Tirico is a very smart guy. He's doing a great job. But then they bring the Black males in when they need a nice little circus. When they either need a comedian, a rapper, or a basketball player. They call the Black guys. They don't call Black people when they want a rocket scientist or someone who is capable of doing any sort of significant analysis or anything like that, right? So anyway, with that said, Kai Cenat is kind of in that tradition, and of course, he's making lots of money. And I saw where the Kamala Harris team wanted to meet with Kai. They wanted to go onto his platform for obvious reasons because he's got a big reach. A lot of people follow him, a hell of a lot more than would ever follow me, right? And he's and he gets on there and he just says, I don't know anything about politics. I don't know shit about politics. That's what he keeps saying. He said, I don't want to talk about politics because I don't understand it. And that took us back to this very simple reality when you talk about politics and why I don't have much faith in the political process. It's because you can't point to me any Democrat or Republican presidency that has ever took black people anywhere other than dead last on the economic ladder. You can go back 55 years, and in every year for the last 55 years, 60 years, 70 years, black people have been dead last when it comes to wealth. Every year for the last 60 years or more, black people have been dead last when it comes to income. Every year for the last 60 years, black people have been dead last when it comes to financial security. So no politicians ever fixed that, right? So when you're telling me, what you think is going to change politically, because we pick one person over the other, I admit I'm a little skeptical because I care about wealth, because I believe that our lack of wealth is what creates our lack of freedom. It's hard to be free in America if you ain't got no money. Tell me if you understand what I'm saying. It's very hard to be free in this country when you're broke, because in America ain't nothing going on but the rent. In fact, in America ain't nothing going on but the capitalism. So if you don't master economics, at least your own security as it pertains to economics, then you're not going to win in this country. The American white male in America is a master at economic warfare. He's a master at using his vast economic power to establish an extraordinary amount of colonialism in which he's able to control you, just like he controls the people in India, just like he controls the people in parts of Africa, just like he controls people in parts of South America. The same thing happens in the United States. That's why a lot of y'all get up and go to work for a white man every day. Can I get an amen if you understand? Let me know if you get what I'm saying. So here's the deal. I believe that coming out from under their thumb economically is going to require a plan. It's a see people aren't used to that. We're used to whining about the problem. We're used to complaining about problems and thinking that if we pray about it, whine about it, or hold a march about it, that it's going to fix it. No, you don't need to do all those. I mean, do all those things. That's fine, but you got to have a plan. So my plan is to say that any family that wants to get their children and their loved ones out from under the thumb of economic oppression, the thumb of financial slavery, is going to make a plan so that your children and anybody connected to you is going to be financially safe. They're going to have the resources they need and the skill set they need to generate the income they need so that they don't have to become slaves. Right? It's that simple. It's that basic. So here's the deal. So when you circle back to the politicians, my theory is this. My theory is what you might call the dumbest Negro theory. I believe that politicians, when they want to talk to the black community, they say we don't want to talk to the smartest Negro. We want to talk to the dumbest Negro. So let's go find the dumbest, buffoonish, most buffooniest, most idiotic black man who's going to ask the dumbest questions. And let's go talk to him, especially if he has a lot of other people that follow him, so he can make them dumber. Because ignorance is a virus that spreads rampant through the community. Ignorance is a virus that they promote throughout the community. They push it out like a poison. Ignorance is a virus that has infected millions of our people who could be brilliant in another way if they chose to be. But unfortunately, it's also an addiction. It's easy to not think because thinking is hard. And so anyway, so the dumbest Negro theory says that they say, let's go find the dumbest Negro we can find and let's go and talk to him. And then that person will get other people to do what he tells them to do because he's an influencer. So I think that's why Kamala Harris worked so hard to go and speak with this Kai Cenat guy. I also think that's why Donald Trump picked certain people in the black communities as well. They don't typically want to talk to the smart people. They don't want to talk to the scholars and the thinkers and the educators or the parents that are really building the communities and building strong families. They want to talk to people that they want to talk to some rapper or somebody who has literally no skill, no training, no background whatsoever in any area related to political science. So here's what I want to throw out there though. Um, a lot of people will say things that are completely untrue as it pertains to black politics. They'll say, well, there is no black agenda. The reason the politicians don't know what the black agenda is because black people do not have an agenda. And I just want to make sure it's 100% abundantly clear that that's completely untrue. The reason it seems that black people have no agenda is that if you follow the dumbest Negro theory and you go to the dumbest Negro, not the smartest, you go to the dumbest and you say, "What's your agenda?" He's going to say, "The hood, the hood, the hood, the hood, the hood," because he's the dumbest one. He doesn't know. And you say, "Well, what is your plan for the black community?" He's not going to have the plan. He doesn't know. He's not the because he's the dumbest Negro. He's going to say, "The hood, the plan is the hood, the hood, the hood, the," and then he might start rapping, right? And then they'll say, well, I guess those people have no plan. Right. And then and then they say, well, what does the black community need? Like are you looking for anything economically, health wise? Or he's gonna say the right. So the dumbest Negro is never gonna communicate the plan that is necessary to improve conditions for black people. So the black agenda is going to get buried under a pile of nonsense, a pile of BS, right? Because you're not talking to people that know the answers. You're not talking to people who are even looking for the answers. You're talking for people that are looking for the women and the weed and the liquor, and or comedians looking to tell jokes, or people who are looking to sell out, or people who are looking for a good black job. So what I want to do is I want to go through really quickly something that I wanted to share with you all about what a black agenda actually looks like, and so actually, before I move on, give me a quick yes. Let me know my audio's still good. Let me know you guys can still hear me. Okay. And again, I don't care who you're voting for in this election. So please don't try to argue with me about whether Trump is better than Kamala or Kamala is better than Trump. I just honestly don't really care. Not because it's not important, but because they're not solving problems that matter to me, to be honest with you. It just doesn't matter to me. And then also, I want to mention. That actually if you're looking for someone that can actually help you with their financial stuff and everything else, there's a student that actually comes in sometimes. Her name's Aisha Verzi, and Aisha Verzi, Virzi, is someone that can actually speak to you directly. Her phone number is on my website. Go to drboyceoffers.com. You can find Aisha's phone number on there, and you can call her, tell her Dr. Boyce sent you, and she can talk to you about whatever you're trying to do financially. If you're looking for that direct one-on-one connection. Okay. So with that said, let's hop back into it. Okay. So how many of you have heard about Ice Cube's contract with Black America? Did anybody see where Ice Cube again this is, and I like the fact that it's Ice Cube because I don't want, I have people sometimes that will say to me that rappers that I hate rappers, right? They because I will be very critical of what hip hop has done to the black community. So they'll make, again, just like there are people who assume that because I'm not a Democrat, that I must be a Republican. That's simple minded thinking, of course, and I try to correct it, but it doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter what you actually say. It's what they want to twist it into. That's how propaganda works, right? I understand. I've studied propaganda. But same thing is true with rappers. There are people who think that I hate hip hop. They think I hate rappers, and that's not true either because hip hop actually for a long time was the only kind of music I even listened to. And the reason I critique rappers is because I understand rappers probably better than they do. I know hip hop better than most people do because I've listened to thousands of artists and thousands of songs and all this other stuff, and I know a lot of rappers. And so there are rappers that I love and rappers that I would love to just put in a suitcase and throw off a bridge, right? Because I understand the power of hip hop. I understand the power of the subconscious mind, and I know what happens when you poison a group of people with messages that lead to nothing but self-destruction, economic despair, drug addiction, broken families, STDs, and irresponsible behavior, right? So this is what they do. This is where hip hop and the economic power behind hip hop. See, this is where money comes in. This is where I use my superpower as a finance professor, is I want you to know that they couldn't do this without money. Think about it. They could not do this without money. Without money, you can't create music that's going to poison the brains of 40 million black people. You can't do that. You need money to do that. Do you understand that? So do you understand where money matters, where financial power matters? Right. So anyway, with that said, Ice Cube is one of my favorite rappers. Not because of the musical part, but because he reached out to scholars and experts, myself included. I was one of them, and he created something called a contract with Black America. And this contract with Black America, I encourage everyone to Google search this. I encourage everyone to look it up. This contract with Black America is the most effective and most comprehensive document that I've seen in a while, at least promoted on a platform of that magnitude, that anywhere. It is thorough, It is well done. It is well written. It is clear. It is concise. It covers a wide range of areas. I don't care if you are an activist, it covers you. I don't care if you are an economist, it got you covered. I don't care if you're concerned with if you're a health professional, it's got you covered. This contract is just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And here's what's interesting about this, and this fits my dumbest Negro theory too. I'm still working on that theory. I'm still putting together data for this. The dumbest Negro theory applies here because this contract is so thorough, so clear, and so impactful that the politicians absolutely hate it. They absolutely hate it. They ignored it. So the question would be, why would you go pay attention to the dumbest Negro when you talk to him about what the black community needs, and he says the right? And but yet when someone puts together a contract that has received the support of numerous scholars in the black community and thinkers and activists and social workers and people that have their feet on the ground and have really articulated in a very clear, concise fashion a set of policies that would dramatically improve the conditions of the lives of black people. Oh, you ain't got time for that. Oh, now you're gonna go falsely label Ice Cube a Trump supporter, even though he came on this platform several times and made it specifically clear that he doesn't support either party. Like it's just so that's your game now. That's the game you're playing. You're lying to us. You're playing with us. You're playing us for a bunch of suckers. That's the only. I mean, think about this. Imagine if you went to the doctor and the doctor gave like you said I have this illness and I need medication, and instead of giving you medicine, he gives you like malt liquor and crack cocaine. And every time you get sick, he gives you more liquor and drugs. And then somebody comes in with real medicine, they with some holistic medicine, and they say, no, no, no. What needs to happen is they need to eat better. They need to eat these herbs. They need to here's a surgery that they need to get. Here's a proper prescription. This has been proven through scientific analysis to be effective for people with this condition. Here's the research. Here's the data. And then imagine if every time that happened, the doctor was like kicked over the table and cussed people out and said, "Get out of my office." That's not your doctor. That's your killer. That's not a person that cares about you. That's a person that hates you. That person doesn't want you to be in better shape. They want you to die. So you got politicians out here that only feel comfortable governing the black community when the black community is dead. They want you financially dead, they want you spiritually dead, and they damn near want you physically dead. They want you just alive enough to show up to the polls and vote them back in power in every election. That's all they want. They're like, as long as you're alive just enough to come vote, that's all we need. We don't really need you living in any other area. We don't want you to have any options outside of us because a good pimp makes sure his hoes are in check. A good pimp makes sure that he maintains control of the situation. So we don't want you to have too much freedom. We need you to have just enough freedom to show up and vote, almost like a prison inmate where they say we'll let you out of your cell for you to go out in the field and pick some cotton, or we'll let you out of your cell just long enough for you to go out and do dirty work for us. But we don't want you to truly be free and have free will and truly have options in your life. And so really, I just want to say this: if you want to see a great layout of a black agenda, go to look at Ice Cube's contract with Black America, and that's what you're going to find. So here's the deal. Look, when you're talking about things like economics and wealth, this is the kind of stuff that'll get you banned from certain conversations. I know politicians don't like to talk to people like me. Shout out, I give respect to Robert Kennedy. He did reach out about doing an interview with me, but I told him, I said my trust level's not high enough So I'm not really interested in talking to you right now. At some point, maybe I'll reconsider it. I spoke to Cornell West vice president. Her name is, I think it's Melina, and she's a professor. She's super smart. She did agree to come into this space. So I consider this to be sacred space. So I think I'm going to let Melina or Dr. West come in, only because I've vetted Dr. West, and I know him as a person, and I just really think he's a good human being. So those are the kinds of people that I would let come in and have these conversations. But I think at the end of the day, we have to talk about real policy. And what I like about Contract with Black America is they talk about little things that make a massive difference, like giving Black people interest-free loans to buy a home. I said that is really powerful because what you're doing is you're giving them a pathway to wealth. Why is that? Well, because somebody who helped Ice Cube put together the Contract with Black America understood something that's been true in economics for a very long time, that any research study will tell you, which is that home ownership is the number one pathway that people go from poverty to middle class. How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all know that one of the biggest variables to determine whether you are going to be middle class or lower class in America is whether or not you own some real estate? If you own a house, your chances are you're wealthier. Why? Well, because when inflation hits and the value of everything goes up, the cost of everything goes up, well, you're an asset owner. Think about it. If you're a producer or an owner of something and the cost of things go up, well, you win. If I own the damn shop and the cost of everything goes up in the shop, I'm not going to say, "Oh my God, this inflation is killing me." No, if I own the shop, inflation becomes my friend. Do y'all understand? Do y'all understand? So I'm not saying that inflation is always good. I mean, I don't like it. But one thing that happens is that when you're trained, when we're trained to be a nation of super slaves, when we're trained to operate on the lowest level of the economic totem pole, we're at the bottom of the food chain. Then yeah, when we hear the word inflation, we get scared. We get like, oh my God, inflation's gonna get us. And it does. Inflation will be over. If you're always in the store and you're the one that's buying things, inflation is going to be hard for you. But if you're also selling something or if you own something, well, guess what? There's something called asset inflation. It's very big. It's actually stronger than regular inflation that actually benefits you. That's another reason I tell you to become stock market participants. That's the other variable. See, the thing is that this economic thing is not hard. It's not hard. The only hard part is getting through the noise. The only hard part is getting past all the idiots that are spewing nonsense on the internet. The people that have never, ever, ever even taken a single financial class telling you what your economic strategy is supposed to be. That doesn't make any sense. Let me say, so let me just make it lighthearted. I don't want to sound too mean and harsh today. I'm kind of burning up right now. So on this trip to Egypt that I'm on, and I'm traveling with a group of really awesome, intelligent Black people. We're gonna do another trip. I just got to figure out where we're gonna go. I'm thinking Ghana, perhaps, but maybe I'll take a vote or something like that. But anyway, there is a brother here named Brian, who is Brian Little, and his wife Cookie, and Brian and Cookie are two just amazing people. And Cookie, in fact, she was actually very very sick, and it was very serious. And anyway, her husband told her, "If you get better, I'm going to take you to Egypt." And so Cookie came and talked to me, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "This trip is what helped me to stay alive. This trip is what made me heal." And so I talked to Brian and Cookie for a really long time, and Brian is a man, the kind of man I respect. He's a veteran. He was in Desert Storm. Shout out to all the veterans out there. Thank you for your service. And he also was a fireman. He was in the fire department in Chicago, and he was actually stationed right across from the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago in the 1990s. 1990s. So if you know Cabrini Green, you'll know it was a pretty scary place. But anyway, so Brian is an expert in fire because he's a firefighter. And what's interesting to me is that when I see people that are talking about Black economics who don't know what the hell they're talking about, or somebody who took one class on how to invest in the stock market, but now they're calling themselves stock market experts, or people that are giving economic advice that's leading us off a cliff, I feel probably the way Brian would feel if I was pretending to be a fire safety expert and I know nothing about fires. I know nothing about the types of fires. I don't know how to put them out. I don't know what the procedure is. I don't know anything about it. He's trained on that. He's really good with that. He's like my uncle John. My uncle John could tell you about all the. He was a firefighter, and he could tell you about all the different types of fires and the fires that they can and can't put out, and what types of chemicals are needed, and what the procedure would be. I mean, they could talk to you about fire all day long, and I feel like it would be stupid for me to say, "Oh, I know as much as he does." Don't listen to him. Listen to me. I can tell you what's going on. And I think that that's how I end up feeling as a person who spent 30 years studying how economics works, and then seeing millions of people just taking the wrong advice and getting the wrong information and going in the wrong direction, or making the wrong conclusions and making the wrong assumptions. It makes me very, very sad, because if you understand it, if you see it, what you would realize is that solution cannot be complex at all. It's very simple. Solution to your physical art. You you believe in me, just always get your ass kicked. You think me, and I mean, I'm here as I'm sitting in Egypt. These just gigantic monuments and everything that they built. It reminds me that we really are probably more extraordinary than we give ourselves credit for. I really believe that. I think that we are um, among the most capable people in the history of the world. We are as smart as we want to be. We can do anything that we want. And I think that embracing this idea will go a long way in terms of shaping the standards that we set for ourselves when it comes to our economics. Like, so for example, I was talking today with another person that's on this trip, Dr. Fatima Williams. Dr. Williams got her PhD in, I believe it was cultural anthropology from Rutgers University. So I was sitting there, I was talking to Dr. Williams, and we were talking about a concept that I'd shared with you all before about what it means to be an economic god. And she said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I said, "Well, if you think about it, when you go to church and you pray to God, what do we typically pray for?" I said, "Nine times out of ten, most of us are in church praying for something related to our economic situation, right? We're praying for a better job. Maybe we're praying for a promotion. We're praying for more income, things like that, right?" And wait, I'm gonna pause for a minute. Somebody said that I'm going in and out. Am I breaking up? Oh man, I hope I'm not breaking up. Hold on, give me a second. Let me know if I'm Give me a yes if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Give me a yes if you can hear me, because once I see some yeses come through, then I'll know that I can keep going. I don't want to. I don't want to. Hopefully, it won't mess me up. I'm over here across the world, so okay. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Keep giving me confirmations. I'm so sorry I didn't see the chat. All right, so I was talking to her about how you go to church and you pray to God, and typically when people are praying to God, they're praying around something that relates. It could be health, but a lot of times it's something economics. It's usually, God, please bless me with more money to what do blank, or help me get enough money to do whatever, or help me get an opportunity. And so I think about this. I'm like, okay, so when you pray to God and you're praying for an opportunity, who are the people that give us these opportunities? Where do these opportunities come from? Well, typically these opportunities come from some white man, right? Like, so there's some white man who says, boy, I like you. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Or there's some, situation maybe on a job or something, right? Where we get a little bit more money or whatever. And we say, thank you. And so I said to myself, I said, so really, to some extent, white people are our economic gods. White men are our economic gods, because they're the ones who have the ability to bless us. They have the ability to decide whether we're going to get the promotion or not. They have the ability to decide whether or not you're going to get that job. They have the ability to decide if you're going to be financially stable and secure. And I said, I don't like that. I don't like that. And I said, so for example, in my life growing up, I remember hearing all the time about, I'd hear people say, all I need is for somebody to give me an opportunity. Even James Brown, I think he said that. He said, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Just open the door and I'll get it myself. So basically, what he was saying is, I need somebody to give me an opportunity. Just open the door. But what James did not ask is the question of, okay, if you're saying you want somebody to open the door, well, who built the goddamn door? I'm not gonna cuss no more, I promise. But that's the deeper question. That to me, that's the financial consciousness exercise you have to ask yourself is, instead of asking, will you open the door, you have to say, well, who built the door? Who owns the door? Like, where did this door come from? And I think that that's an important thing to think about. And I know some people may think that the blessing really comes from actually from God, but no, if that white man signs your paycheck and he decides to stop signing your paycheck, he can make you economically miserable with the stroke of a pen. Seriously, he can destroy your life in a second. He could just say, "Hey, we're cutting in your department, so we're gonna let go of 20 people, and you're one of them." And next thing you know, you go from being in the middle of economic peace to being in the middle of extreme financial anxiety, desperation, and discomfort, uncertainty, and lots of risk and volatility in your life. Give me a yes if you agree. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you felt this way before, right? Where somebody who has more power than you or more resources than you gets to decide if you get to feel peace or not. I think that just sucks to me. I hate that. And so I said, what I really want for our children is, I want our children to understand the power of being an economic guide. And I said, what that means to me is that instead of asking, well, who's going to give me an opportunity, you learn how to create opportunities for yourself. Or instead of, and what does that come from? Well, that comes from things like entrepreneurship. A person who is a really good entrepreneur, a kid who's trained from birth on how to build a business and make a dollar and find an opportunity or create one, create a market, develop a product. People like that have a level of economic manifestation ability that it is 100 times greater than you'll ever get waiting for Mr. Charlie to hire you, or hoping that somebody will give you a better black job. I'm not making fun of nobody who's got a black job. Some of y'all got good black jobs, and I'm happy for you. I really am. But when you're really talking about this game of economic warfare, I think that our lack of financial consciousness is extremely costly to us, because we allow other people to really, really be positioned where we're damn near bowing to those people. Look at how many black people there are that are afraid of white people. Scared to death, scared to say the wrong thing, scared to won't let your boss see your social media page, don't want to talk about certain things at work. And I understand that. I get that. But some of it is about positioning. Maybe you were trained to position yourself in such a way where there are other people who are going to decide how far you're going to go or what opportunities you're going to have, instead of training you on how to create opportunities for yourself. Especially the men. I told Dr. Williams, Dr. Fatima Williams, you should look her up. She's a smart lady. I said I even challenged the men. I said, I think the word man is short for manifest. To me, manhood, and it means a lot of things to different people. I know, I mean, I have my own version of it, but to me, manhood, which is something that is easily stolen from us. I think it's been stolen from us in terms of people not really seeing black men as protectors of our community, or protectors of our women, or protectors of our children. I think that this is what shapes the politics now. Now the politicians are getting offended when black men speak up, because they're not used to black men having a voice. They're not used to black men being involved in the conversation. And so that's why certain men like myself probably get on their nerves, because I'm like, no, I'm here. You talk to my wife, you got to talk to me too. I'm right here. Don't just talk to her. Don't act like I'm not one of the kids. That's the other guy. That's not me. Um, but I really think that when you talk about manhood, I think that a big my one of my definitions of manhood is being able to manifest the reality that you want to see. And I guess because I'm in Egypt and I'm seeing all these temples with gods and pharaohs that walked around and claimed themselves to be gods, I literally thought to myself, I said, okay, I think there's God inside all of us, and we just need to unlock that. And part of unlocking the God inside of you is manifestation. That's what a God can do. That's what an economic God. An economic God doesn't wait for an opportunity. An economic God creates one. Do you understand? An economic God ain't begging nobody for nothing. An economic God is gonna go make it happen. Manifest. Manifest. If you watch a football game, football teams don't beg the other team to let them win. They don't beg for touchdowns. They force you to give them a touchdown. They demand the touchdown. They run over you until they back you up far enough that they can run into the end zone. They manifest the victory. The winners don't beg for championships. Winners manifest that. Do you understand? And that to me is spiritual, right? I think that a lot of our battle in the economic front is not so much just the battle of like knowledge, expertise, and opportunity. It's spiritual. It's self-esteem. It's like, who the hell do you think you are? And who did that man tell you you are? Who did those people tell you that you are? Why did they convince you you're supposed to be a board? Who and this goes back. This is one of the things I've been thinking about all week. I've been walking around Egypt and I'm seeing all these amazing things that these people did, these kings and emperors and pharaohs, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. We have that in us. I really think we have that. So to me, the fact that they've turned some of us, a lot of us, into these, head bowing, foot shuffling Negroes is very, very sad. Because a lot of times, what you're able to accomplish in your life comes down to what you think about yourself. A person who has pride in themselves is not going to carry themselves like a hoochie mama or a ghetto thug. A person who has pride in his family is not going to misrepresent his family by running around cooning all day long. A person who has pride in his community is not going to go out and do things that are degrading, ignorant, and stereotypical. They're going to be proud of what they are, and the things that you're proud of, the things that you love, are the things that you protect. Like I'm proud of my wife. I think my wife is the most beautiful woman in the world. So yeah, yeah, I'd fight and die for this lady. You know how many Negroes I had to fight on the internet who are trying to make fun of me because I loved a black woman and I loved her out loud in public. I didn't care. I said it's all right. I don't. I'll die with my sword on the battlefield. I'll fight all of you. You come. You because I love my wife. I love my family. I'm very proud of what we have. There ain't nothing that man has over there that's more important than what I got over here. Do you understand? And there's nothing. There's no community that has anything that you should be begging for, in my opinion. I don't think there's any community that has anything that we can't manifest for ourselves. And a lot of it really comes down to attitude. A lot of it comes down to planning. A lot of it comes down to heightening our financial consciousness and economic awareness, so that you can develop the infrastructure that allows you to live at the level to which you believe you should be accustomed. It's a choice. It really is a choice. And I know maybe some people may not get this. Maybe some people think it's just, you know, like, I don't know, foo she, just me running my mouth about it or whatever. But I really think there's something to it in terms of just thinking about where we are economically, and going back to the black agenda, the disrespect that we might get from many politicians, Democrat and Republican and otherwise, and how that all fits into our place in terms of where we see ourselves in the world. I don't see myself on the bottom. I see myself on the top, and I see you on the top. I really do. I see you. I see you in a way where, if you've got children, you have an amazing opportunity to pour things into their minds that will expand them. That will allow their lives to be limitless. They will be limitless if you choose to make them limitless. If you expose them to the right ideas and you expose them to something broad and powerful at an early age, they're going to do broad and powerful things. But if you get them to operate in fear, that their number one goal in life is to make white people happy so that they'll give them their good black job, I think that that's going to limit the power and the potential of what they can accomplish, because I think that there is a cemetery full of dead dreams that could have manifest themselves if the black people who God blessed with those dreams had the courage to pursue them. There are dead dreams everywhere that did not get to live because when you were blessed with that dream, you didn't have the courage or the confidence to pursue it because you thought to yourself, well, who am I to do something so great? Who am I to believe that this is possible for me? Who am I to believe that I'm good enough to do this? So giving your children just basic confidence is huge. Teaching them to be um, high level thinkers is critical. Teaching them to be systematic and structured thinkers goes a long way. We talk about things like building sturdy children in the Black Business School. In our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, we have an acronym STURDY. STURDY is spelled STERDY. STERDY. It stands for Systems, Technology, Entrepreneurship, Relationships, and Delegation for the youth. So that means that children who become wealth builders, pay attention now. This is the formula to turn your child or your grandchild into an economic god. You should play this for them. Play this part for them. Take this video and remember that at the 46-minute and 15-second mark, a finance PhD, Dr. Boyce Watkins, is going to give you the simple formula to turning yourself into an economic god. This works. I promise you. This is based on research. So sturdy, it's this. I'm going to go through it very, very quickly so that you can write it down if you have a pen. The S stands for systems. People who think in terms of systems do better than people who simply exchange time for money. A person exchanges time for money, says if I work 20 hours and I make $50 an hour, I can make $1,000. A person who thinks in terms of systems will say something like, if I sell 50 units and I sell the units for $20 a unit, I can make $1,000 and it may not take me any time at all. Time is not even a factor in that equation. That is a level up. That is a heightened level of economic consciousness. They have risen to another dimension. They've moved to a dimension where time no longer matters. Do you understand? This is financial consciousness. That's how Elon Musk makes $20 million a day. The T stands for technology. Technology allows you to scale. Technology also takes you to another dimension where time and space no longer matter. So a person who understands technology can take their idea and their system and they can scale it. And that way they're selling 10 million units of a product and they're able to make more money in a day than a lot of working people make in a 40-year period. The E stands for entrepreneurship. Every black child in America should be trained to be an entrepreneur by the age of 12. We need an army of entrepreneurs. We need 10 million black children that are going to grow up and literally not grow up thinking, how do I get a job? They're also going to be thinking, how do I go create a job? That's going to scale up the success level. That's going to create opportunities and possibilities. We will bang the doors down. They're going to come through. They're going to bang the doors down. They're not going to be begging for opportunities. They're going to be creating opportunities, owning opportunities, giving opportunities to other people, and opportunities will become contagious. One person that wins will bust down the door and open the floodgates for another 50, 60 people behind them because the first thing they're going to think to do is create a job. Why? Well, because they're sturdy children who are already trained on how to develop systems and delegation and processes that allow for the space of other people behind them to also benefit. They're not going to be the Negro with a good job. We're moving past that now. We're going to stage two. Then stage one was the Negro with the good job. That's what made us proud in the 80s. That's not what's going to make us proud in 2040. The R stands for relationships. This is where things like healing come into play. I told you all my wife is a therapist and one of the things that she's educated me on is trauma and what trauma has done to us and how trauma just makes it hard for us to have relationships with each other. Trauma breaks up our families. Trauma causes black men and black women to only be together long enough to have sex and make a baby, but not together long enough to raise the damn baby. because you got all these trauma responses. You got all these ghetto ass people on the internet telling you, you know, the women don't, the women are terrible and men are bad, and next thing you know, you're going through life and you like a pinball, just jumping from relationship to relationship, person to person. Do you know how many people I've met on this trip? Let me tell you something about this trip to Egypt. I met a lot of really good black people here, and a lot of them are, some of them may be listening. A lot of them are from the very space that you're in. And do you know how many couples I've met that have been married like 25 or 30 years? Seriously, I mean, do you know how many people, like, I met couples, like so many couples. They're like, oh yeah, I've been with my wife since 1997. Yeah, I've been with my husband since 1992. And the thing is that, and again, I'm not making fun of anybody who's trying to figure it out. I know dating and all that. I know it's tough. I didn't get married till I was in my 40s. But there's something I think we lost in terms of understanding what it means to have healthy relationships with good people where you can repair those relationships, and instead of constantly having to hit the reset button, instead of constantly feeling mistreated and harmed and backstabbed and angry all the time. I just really encourage you to look into healing. I think therapy is essential, because what I found is that if you are heavily traumatized and you don't address it, all you're gonna do is just go from relationship to relationship. You're gonna be fighting with everybody because really you're just fighting with yourself. And you also got to be careful about to avoid trying to build relationships with people who aren't willing to try to heal, because then you're gonna be banging your head against the wall. But relationships matter because I can't tell you how many times I've seen conversations, just basic conversations between two good people that turned into multi-million dollar possibilities because they realized how they could help each other out. So relationships, I think that should be trained. If I build a school, if somebody, who knows, if anybody knows Jalen Brown from the Boston Celtics, tell him to call me, and I will give him a simple idea to develop a school system with that would cost less than $10 million to develop, to begin the process that literally could train our children to become the economic soldiers for the next generation. So I don't know Jalen, but if anybody knows him, tell him to call me because I'd love to help him and support what he's doing. I don't want any of his money. I would just want him to, like, to make sure he's applying it in the right way. But anyway, I believe that these things should be taught. Right. I believe that these are not things that you should learn just by accident. I think you have to be intentional about your success. There are people that are very intentional about their efforts to control you. The politicians are very intentional about their efforts to manipulate you into voting for them. Corporations are very intentional about figuring out how to sell you products. Record labels are very intentional about how they work to destroy hip hop, to turn black men into thugs and black women into hoochie mamas. So people are very intentional about screwing you. People are very intentional about taking things from you. I think you should be very intentional about defending yourself. Tell me if you agree. Tell me if you understand where I'm coming from. I think we have to be very intentional. So, to me, if you want children to grow up and have healthy relationships where she's going to meet a good man that can take care, that can be a great father and know how to treat him. He will meet a great woman that will be a great mother and know how to work with her. They will understand the power of heading a household and running a family and how critical that is. I think we should be intentional about teaching that, or teaching black men. Okay, you met other black men that you can work with, and women, you met other women you can work with. Being intentional about forming those relationships and knowing what it looks like to create and to build and to repair a quality relationship, instead of constantly fighting with the world and starting all over again, or being on the dating scene when you're 47 years old and swearing that the last 300 people you dated are not good enough. Like, I just think that there's something going on with that, right? So because you're wasting a lot of time. You're wasting time kissing frogs, when maybe you kissed your prince 20 years ago, but you didn't know how to handle it when he treated you well, or you met a great woman when you were 27, but you were scared, or somebody taught you you're supposed to be a player for the next 30 years, whatever. So you missed a chance to build a legacy. You missed a chance to build a great family. You missed a chance to build something institutional because you were following a world that is run by a bunch of children. That's what it is. We have a world where, unfortunately, in our community, especially when you talk about public spaces that are run by white people, they take the dumbest. Again, it's going back to the dumbest Negro theory. They grab the dumbest, most childlike individuals and they put them at the front of the bus, and the children are driving the bus off a cliff, and the rest of y'all are riding in the back of that bus. And I'm just the guy who got off the damn bus. I jumped out the back. I'm gonna ride my moped and I'm going south. I'm not riding the bus with the children. That's not gonna work. So anyway, the last part. Let me give you the D for sturdy. STERDY. The D stands for delegation. Delegation is an acquired skill that you can learn in a class. Again, when Jalen Brown helps me raise the $20 million or 10 million or whatever we need to raise to start our Powernomics schools all around the country. I tried to get Kanye to do it, but Kanye unfortunately is he's on another planet. So maybe Jalen Brown has a little more sense. He's a smart guy. Um, the last piece is I would train our children on delegation. I would specifically have classes on how to develop systems that where you use technology, build relationships, have an entrepreneurial framework in which you then delegate the work so that you're not doing everything by yourself. Because the reason black businesses don't scale the way they should and we can't create our own jobs and we have to depend on white people to do it for us is because most black businesses are literally one person doing all the work, right? One person that's a coach or a consultant or they're selling the product and they're doing every job in the company from the secretary all the way up to the CEO. And that's not really how you scale. That's not how you build institutions that can employ 100,000 people. Right there's still, again, you think about this. We've had over 50 years of hip hop and all these rappers bragging about how much money they have, and not one of them has ever been able to build a business that employs more than more than 100 people, I'm sure, or 50 people or whatever. The best they can do is partner with a white owned corporation that has been able to employ 10, 20, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 people. Elon Musk probably has, I'm going to guess, maybe 3 or 400,000 employees, maybe all the way up to a million. I don't know. I know Jeff Bezos at Amazon has over a million employees. So the truth of the matter is that one successful black person doesn't mean hardly anything to anybody except for that person and their family. But what does matter is when you have a successful black person who understands things like systems, technology, entrepreneurship, relationships, and delegation, and they've got a team of 50,000 people that are all employed and living better lives because that person was able to develop infrastructure. So if you want to go back to the politics of it all, the reason that I like Ice Cube's contract with Black America is because I saw provisions in there that would actually open the door for that to actually happen. And of course they addressed all the other things, the police brutality, the mass incarceration and prison reform, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, I encourage you, just Google contract with Black America. You'll find it. It'll pop up. And I think politicians should be listening to this. And what's fascinating is that if you go talk to the Democrats, they're not going to bring it up because in their mind, any black person that is progressive, that really wants something meaningful to happen for the black community, is defined as a traitor and a Republican. That's how they look at it. And the Republicans, I don't know what the Republicans are doing. I think they're just kind of saying whatever needs to be said to try to steal black votes from the Democrats because they know that it's easy to do. So if you want to know who I'm voting for black people. And I'm voting for you and I'm voting for your family because I believe that these things I just shared with you are things that, sure, we can implement it on a broad scale, nationwide, worldwide, whatever, if we have the resources. But until we get the resources, start in your own household. Just make sure you and yours are good. I mean, the people that I'm hanging out with now, a lot of them are very self-made. They made basic decisions in their lives that put them in a great spot. They didn't start with a silver spoon in their mouths. Most of them didn't. They didn't. They just understood that listening to intelligent black people is better than listening to white people or listening to the ignorant Negroes that are on TV. And as a result, most of the people here, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. A lot of them have good jobs. A lot of them have their education. A lot of them have strong families. A lot of them have the right ideas. A lot of them have big plans, big goals. They have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to look forward to. And I'm very, very proud of them because of that. And so I encourage you to look into that. All right, guys. So anyway, by the way, my Instagram, I hope you all follow me on Instagram because I don't like dumb people following me. So I need intelligent people in that space. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance if you want to know what that is. And also my Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins and the number one, Dr. Boyce Watkins one. So feel free to go follow me on Instagram. And also, if you want to see just some cool scenes from our trip to Egypt, today we ate lamb, and you see they had like a big. I walked in, and this is like fancy stuff. Like they I worked with Jay Cameron to organize this trip, and they did such a great job. And anyway, so we came in. They had these chefs, and they had like this big old lamb sitting on the thing, like that we ate for lunch, which was pretty cool. And then last night we had fun. They had all the girlfriends and the wives, like they wrapped their husbands up as mummies. I told my wife, you ain't doing that to me. But anyway, there was the mummy game. That was kind of cool. What else is happening right now? Oh, this is what I would look like if I was dressed as an Egyptian pharaoh or king or something, and that's my wife, and that's my daughter. So that's a picture we took last night. We all got all fancy and had a nice dinner together, which was very very cool. And this right here is where I am in the world right now. So I just took that screenshot and just because I was bored, so I just took the screenshot and drew an arrow. So if you want to know where I am, it's like southern Egypt. As we're going to Aswan tonight, where in the Nubian village. And so as you go south, further south, you start to see darker people. And so I like to, I don't know, I look for the darker people in Egypt because I feel more of a connection there. But then again, I respect everybody here. And so here's some other images if you want to take a look. That's one of the temples. I think that's Hatshepsut. She was a great queen of Egypt many thousands of years ago, and literally that building behind us is literally something they built thousands of years ago. And I freaked out when I saw it because I thought that that was a modern building. I thought they built that as an entrance to the Valley of the Kings. I didn't know that that building is something they dug up under the dirt that was built 5,000 years ago by our ancestors. I mean, it looks like a building that was built in 1995. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it. And then we, of course, we saw the Sphinx and stuff like that. And and then we also went to King Tut's tomb. That was kind of cool. So here's a picture of me and Alicia next to King Tut's tomb. Apparently, there's lots of people constantly asking you for money, and if you give them a couple dollars, like they'll treat you like a king. Like it's the coolest thing. So I'd find some dude and I'd say, hey, here's $20. Now, can you take a bunch of pictures for me? And so this guy literally went behind the rope and he took this picture of us next to King Tut's. That's his actual mummy, which is crazy. And so this is what it looks like up close if you want to see it. Like, isn't that crazy? I mean, they preserved this after thousands of years. Like, I couldn't believe that they were able to keep it in such good form this long. And then just the hieroglyphics everywhere. It's just, I mean, it's unbelievable. Here's the big Sphinx, of course, and that's my daughter on a camel being silly, and that's Alicia giving me a kiss in front of the Sphinx. And here's another image of me next to my camel. Camels are interesting. They're not scary animals actually, but they are kind of weird because they're so tall. Like, so you get on a camel and they stand up and you feel like you're gonna fall off, but you don't. You just gotta lean back. And I looked it up on the internet before I got on the camel, and but after a while you get used to it. And the one last thing I want to mention really quick, in case you're interested, is that we are sponsoring a black NASCAR driver by the name of LeVar Scott. And I think it's cool that his last name is Scott, like Wendell Scott. And LeVar is a fine young brother, and he's B1, and he needed support because you know how it is. I mean, they support the white boys, they don't support the brothers. So I said, look, we can't give you millions of dollars in the Black Business School because we're independently funded. We don't have, we're not part of the world in that way. We're not getting corporate money or government money, but we can sponsor some races and stuff like that. So what he did is he's wearing a Black Business School race suit. And LeVar literally, I think, if you want to get an update on how he's been doing, he literally came within a hundredth of a second of winning a NASCAR race. So LeVar is on the brink, y'all. I mean, he's really on the brink of becoming the next superstar in NASCAR racing. And one of the things I'm super excited about is that the Black Business School will get to say we were there first. We were one of the first ones to identify his talent. And I love I don't like picking things after everybody else picks it. I don't want to. I don't like us being bandwagon people. I think we should be leaders, right? Leadership means that you don't look at what everybody else likes. You figure out what you like and then wait for everybody else to catch up, right? So D1, for example, D1 has blown up big time, but I was talking about D1 10 years ago, and because I saw his talent, I said, I don't know why you're not one of the biggest rappers out here because you're talented and you have the right ideas. And this year was D1's year. Killer Mike, same thing. Been talking about Killer Mike for years. He came to our first all black national convention. Now Killer Mike just won 3 Grammys or something. He did a whole Grammy sweep because finally the world is realizing what we realized 10 years ago. So this is my point. This is the point I want to leave you with that hopefully will help you understand the gravity of who you are and what we represent. You know, intelligent black people are the canaries in the mine. Intelligent black people are the ones who see things coming down the pike long before anybody else. Intelligent black people that we know we don't necessarily care what's happening in 2024, but we know what the hell's going to be happening in 2034. Do you understand? And this is important because this is the mindset of an investor. That's the mindset of a wealth builder. I've explained to you all that the stock market, for example, the stock market does not operate based on what just happened. The stock market operates based on what is expected to happen. Do you understand? That's really important. You have to understand that. So that ability to be proactive instead of reactive. See, a lot of our community is very reactive. They wait for something terrible to happen and then they complain about it and they look, they all they doing is wrong again. Da, da, da. Well, proactive people don't have that problem because they prepare. Proactive people are the ones who get ready for battle. Proactive people are the ones who have a plan. Proactive people tend to be more successful. So I want you to really consider this. And this is not me telling you what to do. I'm just an advisor in your life. That's all I am. I want you to really, really embrace that idea of really trying your best to elevate your economic consciousness to the point where you're not confined by time and space. I don't want you just thinking about what's happening right here, right now. I want you to think about what's happening in other places and what could be happening in the future. That literally is you going from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. And then when you think about what could be happening and what could have happened, then you're going to the fifth dimension. So the fifth dimension, fifth dimensional thinking, the sixth dimension is where God lives. So every time you go up a dimension, you're getting closer to God. You really are. So the sixth dimension is where God lives. I can take you definitely to the fifth, but I can't completely take you to the sixth because I'm not a god. Okay. But the fifth dimension means that you're thinking about not just what's happening right now, you're thinking about what is going to happen in the future and what could happen in the future, and you're prepared for all of that. Right. So with LeVar Scott, I'm investing in LeVar because he's a good guy, he's smart, he's hardworking. We've invested thousands of dollars to help him pay for races that he's done to this point. He's repping the Black Business School, which I truly appreciate. He's going to come to the All Black National Convention, by the way. You'll get to meet him when you see him there. I've been asking you guys, hopefully, to go follow him and support him because, the brother needs support. He's a young guy. We need to support our young people when they're doing good things. Also, he's a reminder of the glory of our past. I don't know how many of you have heard me mention the Golden Glory Sweepstakes. Have you guys heard me mention that? The Golden Glory Sweepstakes was a black version of NASCAR. Black people used to have our own racing league before we decided that the white man's ice is colder. We used to have our own racing league called the Golden Glory Sweepstakes. Shout out to Anthony Martin and Michelle Martin at the Urban Youth Racing School in Philadelphia, who told me about that. Anthony showed me a whole display. I was like, I didn't know that we had all this, but yeah, we had a whole racing league, and we had our own businesses and our own infrastructure, our own organizations. We were the commissioner. They were making the rules. We were deciding how things were going to work. We weren't the victims of anybody else's choices. We made the decisions. We were the economic gods in that space. We weren't the employees. We were the owners. And so really though, when you have a certain level of self-esteem, then you demand to be put in a position where you have the ability to manifest what you want to see in the world, which in my world, what I call being, you get to be an economic god. I want our children to be economic gods with the ability to manifest the reality they'd like to see. They're not going to be the types of people who are going to say, dang, I wish somebody would build a grocery store on my block. They're going to be the types of people that say, we need a grocery store. How are we going to figure out how to get one built? And that's a different level of thinking. That's a different level of economic consciousness. So when I look at LeVar Scott, I'm not supporting him because he's got this extensive track record as a racer or because everyone else already knows about him and loves him. I support LeVar because I want to see us support him and build him into the kind of racer that he's going to be, and I think our support is critical for that. So anyway, his name's LeVar Scott. He's coming to the convention. When he gets his first win, I'll let you guys know. One other thing we're going to finance for him is we're going to get. I'm gonna do everything I can to help him get a simulator, because I asked him. I said, "Do you have time? Do you have a lot of time to spend on the simulator?" He said, I spend as much time as I can, but it's hard to get time. I said, well, look around, see if you can find a used simulator, because I want you to get more practice so that we can get you in a position to get that first win. Because when I tell you this brother's on the brink, he is on the brink, and I believe that we can help him get over the top. Because in this space, B1 people, we manifest our reality, and that's a reality that I'm going to manifest. So let's see how this goes. I'll keep you guys posted. All right. Well, I'm done talking. I hope this conversation has been beneficial for you. If you guys want to join the Black Investors Cup, which actually starts on the 19th. Again, it's just an investors competition. It's going to be pretty awesome. Everybody gets $50,000 to invest. And the winner, the one who has the most money in 6 weeks, is the winner. And we're also going to give a first, second, and third prize. First prize is you get the Black Investors Cup mailed to your house from me. But then also you get lifetime access to the Black Business School, any course that you want. And then there's a second and third prize. I don't have that in front of me, but if you'd like to participate in the competition, just go to blackinvestorscup.com. You can participate as an individual or as a family. And on the 19th, we're off to the races. Everybody will get $50,000. You'll have 6 weeks, and at the end of the 6 weeks, we will find who is the greatest black investor on earth. You will be a world champion. That's what we declare you to be, and that's what it's going to be. So feel free to go to blackinvestorscup.com. And then last but not least, don't forget the All Black National Convention's coming up. That's going to be in Chicago, in Lombard, Illinois, right outside Chicago. If you'd like to join us at the convention, feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. All right, guys. Well, have a good day. Love you. I hope to see you soon. And this week, as I mentioned, all the money in the mornings I can't do. I just couldn't put it on the schedule just because the jet lag in Egypt was so crazy. But as of next week, I want to say maybe Tuesday, I should be home back in the States, and I'm going to go back to my regular schedule. And that means every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you want to get the text alert to be notified when we do financial consciousness training every morning, feel free to text the word morning to 87948. Text morning to 87948. And yes, LaShonda, I am going to the Nubian Village tonight, actually in an hour and a half. So I better go ahead and get my nap in before I head on over here. So thank you guys for hanging out with me, and thank you for putting up with me. And I love you, and I appreciate you 100%. And I hope you all have a blessed day. And remember, you are the economic gods in your life. You have the power. Don't let nobody ever take that away from you. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.